Sheffield United have a new signing, 𝗂𝗍𝗵𝗂-𝗶𝗏𝗂. The question is, who is he? I'm Hal. I always get excited when we're talking about new signings rather than anyone actually going out the other way. 𝗂𝗍𝗵𝗂-𝗶𝗏𝗂, a Sheffield United player now. He is a midfielder. He's 22. He was born in Denmark, but he represents Tunisia at full international level, having previously played for the Danish under-19 side, and the 6'2" man has played for them 29 times and bagged 4 goals. He actually scored for Tunisia on his debut. That's kind of the dream, isn't it? The third goal in a 3-0 win over Sudan. Slimane was called up to the Tunisia squad for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar on the 22nd of November 2022. A lot of 22s in there. Played in Tunisia's opening World Cup game against his country of birth, Denmark, starting in a 0-0 draw. Perhaps that game wasn't that memorable. Will Slimane be that memorable in years to come? We can only hope. He is a central midfielder who can play deeper or further forward if necessary. He can use both feet, but he is slightly stronger on his right. He arrives in Sheffield as a player that we believe will be pushing for the first team. He comes from Superliga club Brøndby, who he's played for since 2019. But he was actually with them before, and this is where it gets a little confusing. Try and bear with me. Back in 2012 to 2014, he's had somewhat of a nomadic youth career, played for 8 different clubs in 12 years, but finally settled at Danish club AB, where he made his senior debut back in 2018. And from there, he goes on, eventually gets back to Brøndby and becomes a very influential player for them. So let's look at Slimane's attributes, which I think is always something you can be excited about when you've got a new player. What can he actually do? He's a good dribbler, got a good first touch, decent in the air, as he should be for his height, but also his strength, his frame, his size, a very good passer with top technique. He's aggressive, works hard for the team, runs after the ball if he loses it, but also takes up good positions off the ball. He can show moments of flair too. And he could be used as a ball-winning midfielder. It could be seen maybe in a kind of deeper role, who knows, maybe a Fleck kind of role, maybe more a Norwood kind of position. I want to think initially Fleck in his prime mould, or maybe used further forward supporting strikers. It'll be certainly interesting to see how he ends up fitting in to the side. We'll see kind of more of him as games go on and get used to the kind of attributes that I've just mentioned there. But maybe if he is further forward supporting strikers, that could be interesting, because in his entire career he's got 16 goals from 184 appearances, so he's not an out-and-out attacking midfielder. We could think more of a ball winner that can play in an attacking third and create. He's not the fastest, and his discipline can be a concern. One Brøndby fan, Christian Olsen, said, "He's not very consistent, I give you that. But he's also very slow, had disciplinary problems, and fades in and out of games." Darkstalker SR, not a great name, on Twitter said, "As a person who watches him quite a lot, he is an insane deep-lying playmaker who can also play amazing as a central midfielder or box-to-box." So you get a little bit of a different idea from those two particular quotes about Slimane. It's always interesting to speak to fans of the club he's just played for. Last season for Brøndby, he played 36 times, seeing 6 yellows, scoring 4 times and getting 2 assists. He was sometimes a first choice in their campaign, but mostly a first choice in Brøndby's Europa Conference qualifying campaign. All 4 games of them, he mostly played in a central midfield position, but on 4 occasions, he was pushed further forward to support the attack, and twice he played much deeper, where he actually scored playing further back. So that's quite interesting. Sometimes I can think of other players, Sander, for example, who often looks better in those kind of positions. But we'll have to wait and see where Slimane fits in best with Sheffield United. And it's going to be interesting because in a total for Brøndby, he's played 121 times, scoring 9 and getting 12 assists. And some of the footage I've seen of him has him displaying a multitude of talents, using both feet, to dribble in from wide, crossing with either his right or left from deep, or from the byline to set up chances. So he really does get about the pitch. His movement is exceptional. He might well be a danger from corners with his aerial ability, as I've already mentioned. He seems to be able to work the ball into the box himself, either through his two-footed dribbling ability or his one-touch, quick thinking and passing. I've liked some of the clips I've seen. He's looked very exciting at times, but then anyone can't they, on YouTube highlights. He appears to have vision with his defence-splitting passes, and he gets stuck in winning duels and then spreading the play. I also like how he shapes to shoot. He frames his body quickly in such a way he keeps his shot down and can pick his spot from distance. He's not prolific, as I've said, but when he does take a swing at it, it seems to stay hit. He might be one of those Ian Bryson types. Doesn't score many, but when he does, they tend to be spectacular. Now, people will say we need experience. Well, we've got experience in the Premier League in our ranks already. So do we? I mean, you could argue that you can never have too much, but we've got serial Premier League experienced players. And the ones that we maybe want to bring in who are that will be out of our price range. So a new approach is welcome in my book, and we just add to the players that we've already got by bringing Slimane in. Let's see what he can do with that kind of ability to get involved and press, help, offer another approach, and definitely gives another option in midfield. As Nordic Football Data have said this of Slimane, he prefers to operate in a fluid role, utilising his technical abilities and the skill to make penetrating passes to support his team's offensive play. He is physically strong and adept at quickly turning with the ball. If a team gives Anis Slimane the ball and allows him to push higher up the field, they will have an offensively productive player. The key lies in striking the right balance between giving him the ball and teaching him when to seek the decisive action and when to circulate the ball without losing it through a risky pass. A new club won't be acquiring a finished product, but rather an untapped potential that is yet to be fully utilised. I think that last line, because that's the end of the quote, is the most important. We are not going to be signing finished articles anymore. We may have to look at things slightly differently. Of course, it's not to say we won't sign players that are older than 24, but it seems to me that the approach at the moment is going to be looking for a bit of value, younger players. I like this player. He might not make a kind of wow immediate impact. He might be like others that take a little bit of time to adjust. I mean, what about Sander? When we first signed him, took a little bit of time to adjust to the top flight. But when he does, I think we'll have a real steady Eddie influence in the midfield with Anis Ben Slimane. We'll have to find out what he actually likes being referred to and called more regularly. But he's going to be one of these players that I think will offer something else in the middle of the pack. This boy isn't going to be bossed around or knocked off the ball easily. I really like what I've seen of his ability to retain the ball under pressure. Some Bromby fans have tried to temper excitement. Some have said he was a better player in the 21-2022 season in the Danish league, but the 2022-23, the level wasn't good enough regularly or consistently from him. Others have said he's a good person as well as a really good player, which I think in the dressing room we always recognise is really important. We've got a good group at the moment. We don't want to add any bad apples. In 21-2022, he had one of his highest dribbles per game, 4.73 in the Danish league, competing 55% of his passes and his dribbles. It's an interesting read about that season. There was an article written in 2021, and it is hard to find more recent stuff. But if I go back to the 2021 season, there was an article titled "Finding the Best Central Midfielders from Danish Superliga Data Analysis" by 𝗍𝗂𝗄𝗏. States he averages 4.05 successful attacking actions per game while also being active and sound defensively, where he is just below the 75th percentile for the successful defensive action, averaging 11.67. The youngster seems to be very good at dribbling and records 4.73 dribbles per game, one of the highest among midfielders in the Superliga, also completing a very good rate of 55%. Though he doesn't make a lot of progressive runs, he averages above the median, making 1.16 such runs per game. He records 4.92 passes into the final third and completes 50.98, so call it 51% of them. He averages 2.03 smart passes per game. Do you understand that? Good, you're doing better than me. Football in Denmark tweeted this. 𝗚𝗍 𝗵-𝗏 to the Premier League with Sheffield United. I've been a big fan of him over the years and could see him being a hit in England with his alluring mix of physicality and technique. What has been missing is consistency. If he finds that, I'm convinced there's an even bigger move ahead, end quote. Brøndby chief Carsten Vagh Jensen admitted Slimane has been set on being sold for a while. 𝗚𝗍 is still a fine player. A clear flag has been raised from his camp in relation to the fact that it's probably time to move on. We would like to help look into that. So this is obviously before the transfer. It is not the case that we want to give away our talented players. Okay, this makes sense as a quote, as his contract was set to expire next summer. So a knockdown price, perfect for the Blades, a win-win for United and the player. And he's now ready to challenge himself on the biggest stage. If he ends up being involved in the African Cup of Nations in the future, that could shorthand United for some games. And of course, there will be other players potentially involved in the African Cup of Nations for crucial Premier League matches. He's impressed one man who knows his football, Kylian Mbappe, on 𝗚𝗍 𝗵𝗏. He has been very, very impressed because Sebastian Stanbury, the Danish journalist, told the Star, Kylian Mbappe sought him out and wanted to swap shirts with him. Mbappe told him, see you in the Champions League. Yeah, well, I mean, probably not anytime soon. But good luck, Slimane. We welcome you to Sheffield, and let's hope he hits the ground running. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and please consider subscribing. It is free. Until next time.